Synthaholics. It's the Revival Podcast.
Welcome to Synthaholics, your weekly shot of I don't know what the fuck. This is your host, David Duncan, and with me is Holly's Laugh and Aaron O'Brien.
What's up?
We just got a laugh track for Holly this week. It'll be great.
Guys, we're going to take off our Starfleet uniforms, and we're going to get on
naked.
We're going to get naked. We're going to
put on a chainmail coif.
We're going to get our swords out, and we're going to get our laser pistols and malfunctioning robots.
R2-D2 rejects from the concept pile.
And don't forget to bring the ice for your drinks, because we are talking about ice pirates.
Sounds like ass pirates sometimes.
It's a little bit like ass pirates. This is a 1984 movie, released on March 16th, 1984. Its budget was $9 million.
No way. That's bullshit.
And they
stole stuff from every other movie on the lot. What they spend the money on?
Well, maybe we can get into that later. But then its box office in a U.S. Was $14 million. So it's, it didn't double its money, but it did okay.
It didn't do enough to make the sequel and continue the story.
No one wanted.
Yeah, but also the movie doesn't really end. It just stops.
It does, yeah.
There is no ending. There's no
good wrap up.
They're still being pursued. The last 15 minutes of the film is retconned.
Well, no, there's something that happens, but they got that. Yeah, no.
I'm sorry. I thought they were still big. It was unclearish. I see what you mean. Yeah.
A final scene got cut. So yeah. Anyways,
but we do have some Starfleet news. Speaking of Starfleet uniforms, they're wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they wrong?
Yeah, they are.
They're different.
No, they're wrong.
Why are they wrong?
Because TNG movie and DS9 era, they had the brown shoulder. The gray shoulders with just the cuffs showing the signify what division you're from. They've regressed to TNG era uniforms. Unless those are the new uniforms, the gray ones, and they're still the new uniforms 20 years later, and only a couple of people still wear them.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Look, in Deep Space Nine, they had the gray shoulder pads.
Yeah.
And that's the new uniform. And they just had a little bit of red, yellow, and blue showing for the cuffs that are on the neck. Mm-hmm. And in the Picard, the leaked photos, they're back to early DS9 style uniforms, where it's color all the way across the shoulders instead of the gray.
It's 20 years in the future, so who knows what the uniforms changed to?
They regressed.
But also, you don't really know the context of the film of the leaked photo. It could be that he just kind of broke out his old uniform for shits and giggles or something.
Well, it's not him; it's everyone around him. He's just he's wearing civvy clothes. He looks like he's like on base or something, or at the academy, and there's a bunch of people walking around in old style TNG uniforms.
Maybe it's a dream.
Honestly, it didn't look like it looked like totally different style. Like the collars were different, so it seemed taller. I saw there was a leaked YouTube video, real quick, of somebody asking who Picard was, and he has like a surprised look on his face, like you don't know who I am. So
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yeah, and then obviously we had like you said, we got the set shot of Patrick Stewart standing in the middle of a bunch of people. So, which looks like it's on Earth.
Yeah, so it's probably Starfleet Academy or somewhere in San Francisco where there's a heavy Starfleet presence.
Yep.
Or maybe he's back home in France.
Maybe. But yeah, so that's basically what we got, and we know they started to film this month or last month.
Yeah, I think it was end of April they started shooting.
Yep. So so we're they're going ahead at it, and the other thing we found out was it Amazon will be carrying it, and not Netflix.
Yeah.
Internationally,
but not for.
We lowly Americans have to pay CBS All Access $1 for it.
Yes, exactly.
Instead of our existing subscription of Amazon Prime and Netflix, which I do have both.
I know. So, again, we get the old Scroogerino.
I wonder if Nickelodeon's going to have their own streaming platform that'll have the exclusive Star Trek animated show.
Who knows?
No details on that yet.
So that's cool. I mean, that's I have to say, I remember Patrick Stewart obviously in the movie Logan, and he was looking pretty old. But I always figured that they
aged him up a little bit for Logan.
But he's not looking as young as I thought he did, honestly.
Yeah, well, he was in that TV show. What was that TV show he was in?
Oh, I forgot the name of it.
He was the head of it.
The Young and the Restless?
No, he was not in The Young and the Restless. I don't know. It was like he was the head of a company.
All These Days? Blunt Talk.
Blunt Talk. That sounds familiar.
That was his 2 or 3 season Showtime show, I think.
I was going to watch that, and I never did.
I watched the first season. It was all right, and I just didn't have the show, the premium channel anymore when season 2 came on, and then it got canceled. So I was like, oh, I missed that.
Gotcha.
Right. Well, cool. So should we get into Ice Pirates?
Let's do it.
If we have to.
Let's do it.
With
Come on, man.
cutlass in hand. Let's do this.
Let's do it. So
I do love me some pirates, so...
I know. Hey, who doesn't like a good pirate? We get.
I wouldn't say these are good pirates.
Well, they do okay. Let's say.
All right, lead us in.
We're in the future, and water is a scarce commodity, and it's basically money. So you can pay people in ice cubes. Apparently, so. So we the people who are hoarding in this are the Templar, and they have we get the opening scene of Jason, who's Robert Urich, and they're spying on, ready to
his crew.
with his crew ready to take on this Templar ship and try to steal their ice or their water from them. So that's the idea behind it when you first start. So just in the beginning of it, you kind of see that. It's 1984, but this is like, some bad effects, and the sets are just really silly. I don't know.
And when you describe it, it sounds futuristic and interesting, and like these pirates are gonna look cool.
So just imagine discarded sets from Buck Rogers, discarded uniforms from a King Arthur movie, discarded uniforms from. I don't know.
Something like Arabian Nights.
Battlestar Galactica.
Uh-huh.
A random Greek dress outfit. Men in cowboy wear. So they robbed a Western set. So I don't think... Where'd they spend all this money? They just literally were like picking and choosing from whatever was laying around the studio, it looked like.
Well, you were just thinking about set designs, but you still got to pay people. So
yeah, but like $9 million back then just to pay the people. That's kind of a lot.
There's a lot of people.
And they also stole some Star Trek sound effects. The torpedo sound.
And we got to talk about that music. That music is so dated. It's like an early Errol Flynn pirate movie music.
Yeah, I have a similar thought. It's so funny that it's such a futuristic film, and they definitely went for campy pirate.
They totally did.
It's so funny, like it's
swords bad. and rope swinging.
Even the calligraphy with the names are all like that, scribe, like...
Yeah, like English Sanskrit.
Yeah.
What's his name? Sinbad kind of
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's so silly. So
if only Sinbad was in this.
I do have to say, though, I loved the mishmash of the costumes and everything.
It's great. It's pretty cool. I like it. I mean, it's funny. It's just, as long as you don't take it seriously, you're going to have a good time.
Right.
Somehow, this is still not as bad as the Sci-Fi Channel Dune with the crazy costumes in that. That was awful. They were hard to look at.
I don't think I watched that.
It was awful. I mean, at least these are regular costumes. They're just mishmashed. And that one, the costuming was just awful.
Strangely enough, Dune was released in the same year, in 1984.
Not the Sci-Fi Channel one. That was in 2000 when the Sci-Fi one came out.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm talking about David Lynch's Dune. Conan the Destroyer was out. Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom. Lot, you know.
And it's so funny because you can feel that when you watch this movie. You can feel all of the same movies that came out in that era.
Yes.
Even though this was a farce and meant to be a comedy, like, you could just feel the era in this film, which is great.
Totally.
Trying to copy Alien and several other films with some of their shots and failing miserably.
Boy, you're harsh just for a joke movie. We get next is and so he gets his crew. So his crew is Roscoe, who is a black guy who's good at fixing robots. He's kind of like the technician.
And looking like a girl laying in bed.
What?
What?
He looked like, before I saw his face, it looked like it was like a lady laying in bed in that one scene where the space herpes comes out. I thought that was a woman at first, and then it showed his face like, he's got a very smooth body.
This is how the costume was laid over him. It looked like, he was shirtless. Obviously, he had to be in order to see the wound, but it was like an off-the-shoulder look, and that's a very feminine thing. That's it. That's all.
It looked like a lady until I saw the face. I was like, oh, is that a naked lady? I'm like, nope, not
like a lady.
It's funny. I was singing the same song. Aerosmith. That's Roscoe's Michael D. Roberts. He's a famous actor. He's in a ton of movies and TV shows. Mata, and that's Angelica Houston, who, like we said, or off mic, we said, that's
Letitia Adams.
Trisha Adams, thank you. Ron Perlman plays Zeno.
Hellboy, woo!
Yeah, Hellboy, yeah. So that's his crew, and then a bunch of robots that are really, really bad. And Roscoe didn't program them pretty good. So
the personalities of these robots is hysterical.
Yeah, like one keeps on shaking, and the other one keeps on kicking the other one. So
right, and even like the Templars robots all had a personality. It's just so funny.
Yeah, no, it was funny, and
the one shits itself.
Yeah, the one shits itself during battle, exactly. So they dock onto the ship, and they cut a hole into it, and they get into the they infiltrate the ship, and then they're going to try to get the ice. But during the travels,
they infiltrate the bathroom.
Yeah, yes,
that was the weirdest scene. They just walk in on an alien taking a dump.
It's great.
I mean, well, you have no way of knowing which room you're going into. It's in the kitchen.
It's a great idea, actually, and I like how they all walk by him, take care of him, and the last guy just
shit, that's me. Which was Ron Perlman.
Yeah, and he hits him on the head. So, which I thought at first he stabbed him in the head, but
oh really?
Yeah, it just knocked him in the head. So, so they get on the ship, and one of the things they run into is the nanny for the princess. This is Princess Karina, and this is Mary Crosby, who's just that's Bing Crosby's daughter. So
is that Tasha Yar's mom?
What? No,
isn't she related to Bing Crosby? Denise Crosby?
I don't think so. Oh, you're right. Oh no, Denise Crosby. Yeah, you're correct. That's her niece.
Bamf.
Oh, I thought they were related. So, yeah, I wasn't sure what the relation, but I thought there might have been something there.
That's her niece, yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know Denise Crosby was actually related to Bing Crosby.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I know things and stuff sometimes.
Are you going to start singing Moana to me?
I'm going to sing as much as I possibly can on this episode.
Synthaholics the musical. Go for it, Holly.
Right.
So anyways, he runs into the nanny of the princess, and she's like, for some reason, frozen. Like, they don't need to do this, but I guess she is. She's sort of like
a really fancy skin treatment. She's like...
They got those places at the mall where they spray the cold air at you, and it's supposed to tighten up your skin. She's just going in for a full body facial.
I guess. It's got to be pretty cool.
Could be fat sculpting.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I mean. Like at the mall, you've got the thing where they shoot the cold air at you.
Oh.
Well, anyways, so Jason sees her, and he's like, whoa, who is this? And
they bring up raping and pillaging at this point, too.
Yeah. So tries to peek down her bosom.
Yeah. So, but they get pulled away, and they go to where the storage area for the ice is. And, the nanny sees them, and they have a robot just holding her down.
Isn't that funny? Like, they just left their robot.
Yeah. I love how the robots are almost like, just leave that guy there. He's fine. So,
hey, look down there.
The robots are probably the one thing they spent money on, because they didn't remind me of anything.
Yeah, but they were pretty
silly. I mean, they were like
awful, though.
They were like rubber suits, really.
Yeah.
They weren't really metal. They just had to...
Like the cuts...
They just made a bunch of different parts and slapped them all together and said, all right, this is your personality. This is your personality. You're short, so we're going to make you a ninja.
Rubber suits, just like the awful lava monsters that was cut from Star Trek V.
Yes. And so they find the ice where it's being held, and then they're going to go to the control room or the bridge or whatever that is, and the Templars are there, and they get the upper hand.
They're literally dressed like Knights Templar. Like,
yes, they are.
Chainmail. And the colored koi for the family house. And then there's also twinks sitting on the bridge.
Twinks, they're eunuchs. That's what they are.
Twink eunuchs.
Yeah, they're eunuchs that have been castrated and
given giant cod pieces.
I don't know if they're cod pieces.
They were all sitting down. How would you know?
How'd you know, Dave?
Educated guess. And also, whenever they were also standing in a line later, it seemed like they were wearing cod pieces later on, so I just assumed it was the same for all of them.
At the slave factory, you couldn't see anything like that.
Well,
when she was buying the slaves,
a cod piece is definitely medieval, so maybe
is definitely period.
Sorry, I don't look at crotch. That's you. Dave.
Anyways,
I do the hard research, so you guys don't have to.
I bet you.
The hard research.
Yes, I said hard. I did say hard on purpose, and I did say twink on purpose. Yes, I picked my words.
I guess you did. So one of the eunuchs or twinks hits the alarm button to let the rest of the fleet know that they're under attack, and a fight breaks out on the bridge with the robots, and they kind of are pushed out of the bridge, and we had a great scene of them fighting, and Ron Perlman's hand gets cut off during the fight. Mm-hmm. Which is like, you're like, whoa, holy shit, they cut a guy's hand off. So
he's got to grow the big stone Hellboy hand. So I mean, it's got to start somehow.
I was hoping for a hook.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
We had eye patches and no hooks.
Yeah, no hooks. So they are escaping from the ship because the robots, their robots are all just pretty shitty, actually, to tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. They keep short circuiting. They keep like not wanting to fight. And anyways, they get.
But he goes for the princess to kidnap her.
Yeah, he goes and gets her, and then brings the nanny along too. They get back on the ship to escape, and they're given pursuit by the Templar fleet. Their ship splits into 3,
which was cool.
That's a cool idea. Never seen that before, not to my knowledge, especially back then.
Right.
But unfortunately, they do get caught.
Unfortunately, they're not very good pirates, and they get caught.
Yeah, so the whole thing's botched, and the other different ships did escape. It seemed like, but anyways, Jason, the leader of the pirates, and his buddy Roscoe are brought in, and they're going to be, like we said before, they're going to be turned into eunuchs or twinks. And
what the hell is a twink?
Twink is like a gay, really small, gay, effeminate man.
Yeah, they're more the effeminate side of that. So yeah,
it's probably not a.
I don't think it's an accurate term. I think they just strip them of their identity so they can form them anew.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, they lobotomize them and castrate them. So
right.
And then they wear these white wigs and these
powdered
terrible eyebrows and facial hair,
and the like the body suits.
The body, like the what do you want to call it? Jumpsuits or whatever?
Leotard.
The spandex.
Or a unitard, yeah.
So we get this great scene of where they're being first they're being hauled away in like the prison ship, and one of the guys they run into is Killjoy. They don't know who he is, but he first says, "Oh, only the holy people, the monks, are they don't they don't they
don't castrate them in case there is a god."
Yeah, and then later on, that guy he's in the monk's cloak. So he stole the guy's cloak, the monk's cloak, just to get out of it. That was pretty funny.
I did enjoy Killjoy.
Killjoy's great. Then
there's a conveyor belt.
Yeah,
and it's hilarious.
Yeah, so they're like cutting their clothes off with it's like a saw, and then they get lathered up by these girls.
And then, shaving cream so they can shave them hairless.
And then there's an old guy with a straight razor, like shaking like
hands.
Oh my god, I was laughing so hard at that.
Did you guys notice that like they put shaving cream on his chest, but they didn't actually shave his chest?
Yeah, they never shaved his chest.
That's what made me start thinking twink whenever they were shaving their bodies like perfectly smooth. I was like, that's kind of weird.
Well, there you go. So they get to the final scene, and this is the scene when I saw this.
Clamper.
Yeah, when I saw this when I was a kid, like it was on HBO or something like that, and that was like what the hell? But so they're going down the conveyor belt, strapped down, of course, and this machine's going to bite basically their dick off,
their willy,
their balls off.
I think the whole thing seemed a little messy, but so in this scene where they're screaming, and then as they get through, they think it happened, but it doesn't, because they're like, "Oh my god!" And then they see the princess is there, and it says, "Just stay quiet, and
pretend that it happened, and
do as they say, and because if you don't, it will happen." So then we get a whole scene where she picks out
them out of a lineup.
Yeah, what slave she's going to buy. So, and she picks Roscoe and Jason. And then there's this really over-the-top cheesy 80s party.
Oh, the masquerade ball.
Yes.
Yes.
And Jason and Roscoe are serving drinks as the eunuchs. And she's kind of like talking to everybody. And, she's like all these, rich people and,
dignitaries and...
Yeah, and this is where we also see Killjoy at some point. He's hiding in like a robot's armor or knight's armor. I don't know what it was supposed to be, but
yeah, in a closet.
He's like, "Give me a sandwich."
Bring me a sandwich. This dude wants us to bring him a sandwich.
But
anything
then later,
with sugar in it.
But then the princess says, "Hey, we're going to get out of here in about half an hour or something. We're going to go to this pirate.
You're taking me to Pirate Moon."
Yeah, and they're like, "That's kind of a dangerous place. You really want to go there?" And she says, "I got to find my father." So
that's where the raping and the pillaging happens.
And so as they're ready to leave, Zorn comes out of nowhere and says, "Princess, I want to talk to you." And then she just bolts, which I thought was kind of weird.
He saw her. Well, she was a little too chummy with them. He saw her before that, and he asked her, why the interest? And she was like, "Oh, I saw them in the lineup, and I found found it ironic to make them slaves." And then he saw her speaking with him, and he was like, "Oh, that bitch."
Yeah.
So she had to book it.
And so he's like, get them. Zorn's like, get those three people, and so they start running out. And robots and everything are run after him, and this is where we see they get in a motorcycle with Killjoy, and they all start taking off and riding through these hallways and cities.
It wasn't a chariot.
Yeah, and what was hilarious was, like they like crash into like a robot family.
Baby, mommy, baby, mommy.
Yeah, they crash it. Like they just obliterate a family as they drive over them all.
Poor Daddy Robot.
Yeah, Daddy Robot's gonna be like,
see later, and he's still traumatized.
Traumatized for the rest of his life. And then from there, they're going. They keep running to the they're running away from all the robots and police, and they gave chase through the whole city, and they get to their spaceship and they take off, and they obviously Zorn and his people are going to try to follow them or catch up with them. So the deal is the princess says when on the ship says there's water on the ship and you can have that, but first we're gonna find my father. That's the deal, and you're gonna do everything I say, and if not, I'll just self-destruct the ship, and you'll never get any water. So
fuckers.
So they get to Pirate Planet, and it's a fun place.
The women are molesting each other in the streets.
Yeah, women are punching each other's lights
beautiful.
Out. And it's really weird because when women fight, they knock over some water, and people are just like all diving for the water.
Yeah.
To drink it.
Accidental white T-shirt contest.
And
it's just so funny because everything in this film brings some kind of memory back or some kind of vibe, and that is total Renaissance Festival.
You forgot
behavior.
About the space herpes hatching.
Right.
The washer wenches who fucking, fight each other all the time, and I don't know. It's just so funny.
It's great. And then there's even
we did forget about the hatching of the herp.
Did that happen at that point? I thought
because once she walks off the bridge, they go to sleep and they're navigating, and the egg hatches and it crawls up to what's his name, Roscoe, and latches onto his back, and he's like, "Dude, what'd you fucking put on me?" And Jason's like, "I don't do anything. What's your problem? Why are you bleeding?" And then it's on him, and then it runs off.
And he looks through the ship's manifest and finds out what it is.
That it's the herp.
Yeah, the herpes. Yeah,
the space herp.
Space herpes. Yeah, it's great.
Back to.
Actually, the space herpes thing is probably maybe one of the most memorable thing of this whole movie.
Yeah, Killjoy comes up and he's like leaning on the ship, and they're like, "Well, the ship has herpes." And he puts
his hand off the ship. They're like, "What?" Yeah, it's great.
Of course, they don't tell the princess.
No, of course not. Which sets up for a joke later on. So they get onto Pirate Moon, and they
go to a restaurant.
Yeah, there's some dive bar restaurant, and one of the guys there watching them come in, he's getting his booth shined, and he tells this big guy that basically this is these guys are the guys who they have a bounty on. So we hear there's a bounty on their head too. So, but Jason and Roscoe reunite with the rest of his crew since they got split up since they're messing up the Templar ice ship raid. And Ron Perlman's got his hand back. Must have grew it back. And what's her name? Angelica Houston's there.
Ron Perlman's Deadpool.
They didn't explain the hand. I really wanted it.
I just assumed they grew it back or something like that.
Your defense system is basically the game Galaga.
Yeah.
But you can regrow your hand. Please discuss.
Well, that's the whole thing. Is all these old movies, like the graphics and stuff like that, are so like Atari cheesy,
Yeah.
And but yeah, the technology is out of this world. So, yeah. So and then we get a scene where Roscoe and Ron Perlman and I think it's Killjoy all go to another bar, and from there. They have to get a ride to find this guy who knows where the princess's father is, but he's in hiding for some reason, and he's 50 miles away, and they have to go there, but they have to get a vehicle, and so they have to talk to this weird frog lady.
Yeah, Jason's like, "Hey, princess, go hit on that guy. He's going to be our ride." And she goes over to do it, and it turns out it's a chick, and she wants Jason.
Yeah, great.
And he's like, "God damn it."
Yeah.
But it was totally a dude.
I don't know. I think it was a woman, actually.
So, I think when they were actually
like
at the table, well, it wasn't the same voice as the person. Like, when they were at the table, I'm pretty sure it was a dude, but when they were in the vehicle, the next scene, it was definitely a female.
Frog Lady is played by Marcia Lewis, so... So,
well,
but
between
anyways.
then and now, what's her name?
Sounds like a dude.
Maida, she gets in a sword fight with one of the bounty hunters and fucks up
cuts his head off.
The only guy with the eye patch, the only guy with like piratical indicators, the eye patch guy.
And she sort of does like a Zorro thing.
Yeah.
Cuts his cheek. Oh no, that wasn't Zorro. That was Inigo Montoya from.
Oh, you're right. That was Inigo Montoya.
Cuts his cheeks.
Get my father. To die. It used to be my my cell phone chime, and it pissed Michael off so bad because it was like, "Stop saying that."
That's hilarious. It's actually pretty cool. But she cuts off the one bounty hunter's head, which I remember seeing it younger, and it was like it freaked me out. But it was like now looking, it's just like a dummy that falls over.
Right.
It's like the cheesiest effect ever. It's hilarious.
This movie is so cheesy.
So bad. It's like everything. All the scenes.
Cheese.
I really hope that all of the listeners from last week who heard that this is what we were going to talk about, I really hope they rented it and watched it.
I know. I do too. I know. So they know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Ice Pirates downloads or digital views shot up by 100.
Right.
It was at 0.
Exactly. I know, right? Exactly. It's like all the sets, if they weren't like the spaceship, they were like an old like factory or something like that. So it's like so hilarious. So we get so she takes out Maida takes out the two bounty hunters, and the one guy apologizes, but she still cuts his eye patch off, and
that wasn't very sincere.
I didn't think that was very sincere. So they take off to go see this guy who's hiding.
In the desert.
Yeah, hiding way out in the deserts with the frog lady because she's got a car. She's got wheels.
Well, he's not hiding with the frog lady. The frog lady.
She has a solar-powered giant Pinewood Derby Boy Scouts car.
Doesn't it look like one of those wooden cars you whittle in shop class?
Yeah. Pinewood Derby car. That's what it is.
Oh.
But it's got solar panels on it.
It was hilarious.
Yeah. So they get to where he's hiding, and they're out there, and she says, "Yeah, I know who your father is, and he found the seventh world, and it's like basically a planet that's filled with water." And he says, "When we, their whole crew had been changed after seeing the seventh world. They said
it's filled with salt water.
There'd be no more wars and stuff like that." That's what they're saying. So, but
and the Templar can't have that.
Yeah, but during that time, the other thing was they said, "What happened to you?" And he says, "You're an old man now." And he's like, "Well, I used to be young, but I went through this time warp, and it turned me 20 years older or something." So,
in the time warp.
Yeah.
No.
So then the bounty hunters come back, Mad Max style, and this giant, ridiculous vehicle. And they all start taking off, and they get into the frog lady's car, but she gets cooked alive by one of their lasers. And
they just run her over too, don't they?
No, that was the robot. Yeah, they blew her up. They ran over the robot just once, and then the robot laid down for one time. I don't know. That was weird. It was a weird sequence.
He was crushed, and then they were going in circles, and he sat up, and he was gonna get up. But then he was like, "Oh, fuck it," and he laid back down.
yeah, I know. And then so they take off, and then there's a whole Jason jumps onto their vehicle and starts fighting them all. And last minute, he knocks off most of the mercenary.
Very piratical,
Very, very much so. And then they hit something, and it, the whole thing blows up. And unfortunately, their vehicle got turned over, and old guy that knew the princess's father. His back is broken,
and
but he dies anyway. So their plan is to find the seventh world, and they have to walk back to the main city on Pirate Moon.
But before what's his name dies, he mentions that when they go to these coordinates, they have to maintain those coordinates.
Yes.
And cannot skew one teensy tiny little bit.
Right.
Or else they'll get stuck in it forever.
Right. So they basically start to ready to head off for that, and this is where we get into this weird world of Amazon women riding unicorns.
Yeah. Bikini-clad women on unicorns.
So you guys said this was going to be up my alley. This is the first point where it started to become up my alley.
I don't know how you were not
dick
laughing.
Jokes and racist jokes and women that are practically naked and eunuchs. How is this not up your alley? Like, so much material for your jokingness.
I know.
It takes bikini-clad women on unicorns.
I've still been joking. Man, it's such a mismatch that it just was like, what?
I feel like, you know what's funny? What's funny is that this is like the first film that we've all discussed together that has definitely warranted dick and ball jokes, and there have been less of them than normal.
Dave hasn't said hardly any. So. It's hilarious.
I made a twink joke.
You did make a twink joke, yeah.
I mean, that's what came to mind during the castration scene, where they're shaving them, making them all look feminine.
Thanks.
I was like, huh. I mean, that was my initial thought.
So anyway, naked
yeah,
women on unicorns.
Amazon space women riding unicorns, and they are guarding a man named Wenton. And when they meet Wenton, he's just
such
annoying as fuck. And at a certain point, Roscoe got separated from them, and so when it looks like Wenton's going to get them both killed or get Jason killed, Roscoe comes in at the last minute, swings in, and hits Wenton in the chest. And Wenton, we find out,
his little head falls. Well, not his little head. His head falls.
He's just a head. He's just a head. That's all he is. His body was completely false.
Right.
So, and then the princess is going to blow Wenton's head up with a laser pistol. And
she tells him where her father is, because at this point he's keeping her father hostage,
right,
and won't let them see him.
So the Amazon women all back off, and then they go to this separate room with Wenton.
They are strangely painted, and to look ripped, but some of them were actually ripped, and I was very confused at why they were trying to accentuate the rippedness more, because their bodies and their faces stopped matching when they did that. They didn't match the makeup from their bodies to their faces. I was like, huh?
Maybe it's a kind of war paint kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when they get to the oval room, the princess goes to her father, and he stands up, and he's like, daughter. He's like, dad. And they hug, and then
she realizes he's an automaton.
Yeah, this is not my father. And Roscoe basically looks at him and finds out, yeah, he's a robot, like, an android. And they take him apart, and she's like, there has to be some hidden message somewhere in here. And finally, he says there's some coordinates on it, or some hidden code in there. It's a ring. He goes, a ring. He had a ring. And Wenton's just on their ship at the moment, just as a head.
Just a head sitting on the desk.
And he goes, oh, the ring. And he, like, spits it out. And, like, Jason goes, you got anything else in there? And he's like, no, you want to put something in there later? And I'm like,
would you like to deposit something later?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we can put that space herpe in there.
I did love how the princess took her father's ring and her ring and made that weird little gadget. That was really cool. So kudos to them for that.
That's a cool design. And so the two rings together makes this hologram message and gives them the coordinates of where her father is at the seventh world. And so they know where to go. And at the last scene, Killjoy grabs Wenton. And it's like, you wonder what Killjoy is going to do with Wenton. That's what I wondered when he walked away with him.
He wanted to deposit something.
I guess. So, anyways.
It's the futuristic fleshlight.
Yeah, come on, really.
Although he's kind of a tool, so he'd probably blight it off.
Yeah, I know. He'd probably bite it. You wouldn't want that.
But we find out what's happening to him later.
Yeah. So the crew takes off and they're going into this time warp area where they have to travel through. And like Holly said before, they had to stay exactly on these coordinates. They can't deviate or things could go really bad. But time is going faster for them. And then
as soon as they get in, they have the Templars on their tail, who surprisingly, overcome their vessel and storm their.
Wait! The princess and the hero.
Oh, the sex.
They waste so much water in this sex.
That.
You get because there's a joke from after the sex scene and the time warp thing.
Dude, was it a waste? I don't know that it was a waste.
I don't know.
No. I didn't say it was a waste. I said it was.
They wasted a bunch of water.
Oh yeah. They did waste a bunch of water. If it's the most valuable thing in the world, they're getting it all dirty with sex juices and sweat.
I would do that. I would waste the water for that.
Yeah, I
think that would be hot. But I'm just saying, like in a world where water is that rare.
She's a princess, and they're
true.
going to the 7th planet.
Right. Right. Yeah.
They feel safe wasting the water. That's good.
It's probably recycled.
It was like a hologram. Yeah. It was like a hologram when the hologram started raining. It was like
it's literally a holodeck sex room.
Yeah.
It looked like it was just a backdrop at first, and then all of a sudden it started raining inside.
I love the montage after Jason starts to go down on the princess, like all the
crashing waves.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, you guys are so cheesy.
It was slightly suggestive.
Don't you need to be at the helm?
Yeah, exactly.
If you insist.
It's all right. We'll get right on that. So that's when they find out the Templars are chasing them, and they rush up.
Clearly, they finished before that.
Something happened in between that.
Well, I mean, she finished because he had the water. I guess they both because she does end up pregnant.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I was getting at.
So the Templars catch up with their ship, and they start invading with their robots. Their robots are far superior than Roscoe's robots.
And he's got the black robot, and he's I love it. I love that movies from the 80s are not PC. And he's like, okay, so why did you make him black? And he's like, I wanted him to be the best. And then the robot gets up, and he's like, hey!
It was pretty funny. It was. It's so bad. So anyways, so there's a whole fight scene, and what's great about it is that time keeps speeding up during it. So they just speed up the film. So if Jason's walking down a corridor, he goes faster than normal, and the fight scenes take faster than normal.
I think they did a good job with that.
Oh, they did, but it's funny. And then what next is what we're seeing is that the robots their parts start wearing out. So like there's certain parts that aren't they just start breaking on them, and then everyone's hair starts growing longer and
whiter. Yeah, the princess is ill, and she goes to her chambers, and Jason has to go see her because she's not well, and he finds that she's given birth to a child.
She has a baby right away.
And he's like, I'm so sorry, and he runs away.
Yeah,
he's like, I do have other pressing matters. And she's like,
sorry about that. Yeah.
And she looks at the kid, and he's like, sorry about that. And he leaves.
Yeah,
do you want to hold him? No, not really.
Yeah, not really. And then the baby pees right in his face, which is hilarious too.
Right.
And then we get this great scene with as the fight goes on, Killjoy gets stabbed. Ron Perlman's character just falls over dead.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm getting too old for this, and he just dies.
And he dies.
And then we got a scene with Jason and Roscoe are just like super old. It's like Roscoe's got the biggest big white fro you've ever seen.
It was amazing.
It's so funny. So huge. And he's like, you're not looking so good. And he goes, you're not looking so hot yourself. And then we get the scene where Robert Urich comes charging in and starts taking out the rest of the robots, and the princess runs out, and she's super old.
before that, the ship actually like crashes through the hangar bay, and he's like, "I'm gonna take you out, like it's time," and like his robots come down, and then that's when.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
the
nanny son takes them all out.
And he says, "Chip off the old block."
I love how the princess, who was not played by the same character, but it was just so funny that she comes out almost like totally oblivious. She's like, "Oh, honey, it's our son." I'd have been like, "Look, motherfucker, that's our son, and you didn't help raise him.
You weren't here at all."
Fuck?
I know.
And she's just like, "Oh, honey, there's our son."
It's so funny. And he kills the rest of them. And then Zorn at the last minute crashes through.
I hate kids.
And I'm assuming he died of old age or something. I don't know what happened to Zorn.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're all snapped back to where they were originally on the bridge when they knew that the Templar ship was chasing them.
Yeah, like the memory phases in and out, and they're like, "Did we live that?
Yeah.
Did that happen?"
Yeah, even Wenton comes with his robot, his head on a robot, going like, "Did you guys see what all that happened to you?" So
yeah.
And then they get to what looks like planet Earth, and this is the 7th planet, and they've made it. They made it through the time warp barrier, and they're going to meet her father, and that's when the movie ends. Roll credits. This is a silly movie, but lots of fun. Holly, because you picked this movie, and I'm right behind you on it. But what did you like about it? What makes you wanted to talk about it?
Okay, so I don't know. It's a ridiculous idea of the future. I mean, they have space, pirates, swashbucklers, unicorns, time travel, cyborgs, the masquerade ball, which I love masks. You've seen my office. Mutant herpes, a princess, a time travel baby that saves the day. Like it's obnoxious and it's all amazing. And robots. Yeah. I just loved the mishmash of it all. It's meant to be a comedy. It's not meant to be taken seriously. And especially in the 80s, I mean, there were some really great films in the 80s, and I don't know, this doesn't really sit at the same level as some of the great films from the 80s, but sure. Like, I don't know, it's just hilarious. I loved the Galaga defense screen on the dash, and
right.
The diversity of the cast was amazing, especially, you're in the 80s, there are little people, there are blacks and Asians and strong female characters. Like it was a very diverse cast, which I think is great. And then, I mean, hello, you can program a sex room. That's pretty great.
Right.
I did not like, the use of the cutlasses. It was just so damn silly. Like, you are building robots who could literally have built-in weaponry.
Right.
But they're using cutlasses. I loved that they used cutlasses themselves because, like I said, I do enjoy pirates. The soundtrack was annoying just because it was so incredibly optimistic all the time. Right. Like, the very first music you hear is when they're, like, gonna, commandeer the ice. Right. And it's like, ba, ba, da, 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 and it's like, you need to be stealthy. Shh.
I know. It's so funny. The music is so over the top. It's so silly.
Yeah. The only thing that there were two things that I noticed that I was just like, oh, that was poor decision. Well, I mean, aside from a couple other things, but
there's only two?
Yes, only two. The bounty hunters are not likely to try and kill the people that they're trying to get a bounty on.
Right.
They should have been capturing them instead. And then there's that scene where they are busting out with the princess and getting on the motorcycle, and they go up to the Templar guards and they smash something over their heads, and
it doesn't do anything.
Unfazed.
Yeah.
And they turn around and it's like, chainmail is not going to protect you from blunt force trauma.
Right.
But it does help with shark bites.
Apparently.
So those two things were the only things that I was just like, oh, come on, you broke it for me. You just missed it.
Broke the spell. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Only those two things broke the immersion for you? Those things?
Yes. And obviously...
Not everything else in the film?
Obviously, that poor unicorn was harmed when its horn broke off in the guy's chest.
That is a weak horn if it's going to break off in a guy's chest.
Unicorn. Or was he a heavy man?
Yeah, maybe it was heavy. You don't know that.
You don't know. Being lodged in somebody's chest cavity, it's probably not coming back out.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay, so that's pretty much all I have to say.
That's what you have.
I mean, I just loved the costumes, though. I loved that they were, Mad Max and Escape from New York and Waterworld and all of these other films that are, better than this one, but it just, it was great.
Yeah, no, it's such a fun movie. Dave, you're not a fan.
It was just like Holly loved this movie for the mishmash. I had such a hard time getting into it because of the mishmash. It just it took me out of it. The movie being such a mishmash of things. Like there was not a single cohesive idea in the entire film.
And they're going after water.
They don't even spend the movie.
But then they wasted it having sex.
He's got a point.
The ship had water on it. She never said there wasn't any water on the ship. She said you're going to get the ship with the water after we find my dad. So
yeah, but it's a scarce resource. I mean, it seems like a waste of the most precious resource in the entire where money is worthless because water is the most valuable thing, just to use it when you're having sex.
Well, here's something to think about then. Making love is the most important thing in the universe.
And with water.
Oh, so the process.
Water pales in comparison to true love.
Water pales in comparison to the oldest profession in the book.
No.
I said true love, not bumping uglies.
Yeah, I mean, right.
They did, but I don't know. I just the movie's lack of cohesion. Like if they would have gone hard one way or hard another way, it would have been a lot easier to get into. But like I said at the beginning, up top, I just feel like they just ransacked a studio and we can make a movie based on these props and all the stuff that we found. We can spend almost no money, but somehow they spent $9 million on this.
Well, if the whole plot is that everybody needs water, why are they going to use up resources to, take artifacts from Earth or whatever and repurpose things when they could just utilize them, like cowboys and turbans and Greek sheets, sheets clad in gold, utilize.
Oh, and by the way, I love the idea that there were small little mules and pigs on the ship.
They were so
cute. That was pretty funny to show the passing of age to get the baby ones, and it's like. So I mean, the humor in some points is the only thing that landed because there was setup and payoff.
Right.
So I mean, so as far as how their jokes were constructed, they weren't the worst. They weren't the worst. I mean, because in a lot of modern films, jokes are just awful. They're just just trying to parody something that's in popular culture, and it relies completely on the context of the popular culture. I mean, granted, I'm guilty of that kind of humor in the podcast. But I mean, we are a product of our time. But in the 80s, I do appreciate that they had the art of the setup, and then the art of executing on the setup with the baby animals and turning them old, and the space herpe joke. I mean, there were some things I could appreciate in the film, but just visually, it was just hard to want to watch and continue watching because it was a little bit Mad Max, it was a little bit Alien, it was a little bit Star Wars, a lot of bit Robin Hood, a lot of bit King Arthur in the night. It was just
they're pulling from a lot of different things, right?
It was just so hard to watch in that respect that it just was so all over the place. It's just then you have the barbarian fantasy women from Dungeons and Dragons or whatever riding their unicorns. There were so many different things in the movie. It was what are you doing? And that took me, every time they kept doing more what the fuck stuff, it just kept taking me out of the movie. I mean, sure, like the chainmail thing, that's minor compared to everything. Getting hit on the head, that was minor for my immersion breaking. I'm like, everything else was killing my immersion because there was no cohesive art direction in this film.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I mean, but I do appreciate some of the jokes because there was definitely setup and payoff, which is a foregone art. You don't see that in movies much anymore.
Yeah, there were
which is kind of sad.
Formulaic jokes for sure.
Yeah,
but everyone was everyone was very charming. All the actors, so they were very good at delivering those kind of jokes. It was, or at least the cut made it look very, very good. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you're into cheeseball films, I mean, watch it and watch it with your heart full of glee, because I think this is the cheesiest movie I've ever seen.
Come on, this is the cheesiest movie? I've seen way cheesier movies.
Really? I mean, all the mishmash to me just makes it filled with so much more cheese. Okay. This is such a cheesy film. I mean, I could be proven wrong. This is the cheesiest movie I've seen in recent memory. Then, if not not completely, but so cheeseball this movie was. So, yeah. I mean, I wasn't a fan, but I mean, it was weird and interesting, and I don't want to watch it again. How about you, Aaron?
I have fond memories of this movie. I was probably, when this movie came out, I was like 10 or 11, and it came out at some point on HBO, and it was just like one of those things that it was like always on, and because it was sci-fi, obviously I'd watch it. And it, some of the jokes were probably a little too adult for me, but it was still like it's still pretty tame if you really think about it. I mean, other than like the space herpes and the one guy drops the N-word at some point, but it's not that bad.
I was really surprised when they did that. I was like, what?
Yeah, well, it's the 80s. Things were very different.
I was like, wow, they did it. I was sort of shocked, but I guess that's our culture now, where it is a shocking thing to hear. But I was like, huh.
Yeah. This was like a movie that I saw, and I there's so many like things I love about, so it's like more nostalgia for me. But I haven't seen it in years. Like, I can't even remember last time I watched this movie. So, I mean, I might have been very, very young last time I saw it. So seeing it again was great. And there's parts I totally forgot. Like, I don't even remember anymore. So this was great to, just to look back and see it all and see in adult eyes. To me, it's still funny. It's still silly. I love sci-fi when it can get really offbeat. I mean, it's just that cracks me up, and I think it's great because I do really believe that if we are ever to go into space and meet other aliens and interact with other cultures, it's going to be fucking ridiculously funny. I think there's going to be things where like, what the fuck is that? Kind of thing, So there's going to be all sorts of stuff like that. So that's the
all
part
the space herpes all of the time.
Yeah, exactly. So, and so that I love that. I love the eunuch slave thing, the sequence, like them getting shaved and their crotch going to be bitten off and stuff like that. It's great. I love the space herpes thing. That was awesome to see again. The time warp sequences and them fighting. There's just so many fun, great scenes. This movie it's a B movie. There's no doubt about that, but it's still fun. It's a fun movie to watch, and since we were going to talk about it, there's a couple things. Like one thing is like Dave, I think you mentioned that when they got to the seventh world, like the credits just roll, like you don't see them land or anything.
The movie just stops. Like there's not. I mean, I guess you can infer the ending.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I got in my mind that it was like the bad guys made it through too, so they're still being chased. But I guess that's why
they're lost in the time warp.
That's why the time warp stopped and they went back to the regular time because the bad guys got lost.
Mm-hmm.
But To me, it was sort of unclear, so I kind of thought they were being pursued. That's why I was confused about that earlier.
So there's a...
Am I wrong thinking that the last line of the film is, I guess we're out of business?
Yeah, because they found all that water.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're no longer ice pirates. The movie's over.
They're literally going to flood the market.
Flood.
All that,
but they don't know that all that water is salt water. So most of it is.
There was
utilized.
There was a scene that was cut at the end of it. So at the end of the film, they were meant to arrive on Earth and fly over the beaches in Malibu with people swimming in the water, and the studios cut that. And the director basically says, after I said that, I had to have a vodka and calm myself down because he was so pissed off. This had a lot of weird things. So apparently the MGM was under this huge budget crisis, and they couldn't spend. They only had like a budget of $20 million, and so they could only dole out $8 million per film. So that's all they could spend on this. I think they said $9 million on this, but in the end,
they could have cut a teeny tiny little bit of the time warp, and given us that final scene. Yeah,
for sure.
But then there wouldn't be like all the action at the end that's kind of required for an action 80s movie.
No, they could have definitely cut, 20 seconds of that. I mean, it was funny. Don't get me wrong.
I don't know if it's going to save you.
It was a progression.
I don't know if it's going to save you that kind of money for getting that.
Well, they've already filmed it, right? Well, if they've already done it.
I mean, that's low budget stuff compared to
flying over Malibu in the 80s.
Yeah. Doing a composite scene. I mean, they were just running around like getting bigger and bigger beards. I mean, that's low budget compared to like doing all the composite work. You need to do a spaceship fly over the beach.
You're right.
Let's see what else. Kevin Costner was turned down the role to play Jason. So,
I'm so glad because I like him, and that would have. I mean, it wouldn't have changed anything, I guess, but
it would have changed something. I would have recognized another actor in the movie.
Yeah.
Another funny Star Trek related is Gene Roddenberry. After seeing Ice Pirates, he made a joke saying this was that Ice Pirates was singularly responsible for bringing back the death penalty in California.
That's awesome. That's more brutal review than I gave. Go Gene.
Yeah.
Well, on the Wikipedia, I think. Yeah. Let me see. The reception that is written on Wikipedia is that the film is somewhat tongue-in-cheek and often compared to Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Upon its release, the New York Times described it as busy, bewildering, exceedingly jokey science fiction film that looks like a Star Wars spin-off made in an underdeveloped galaxy. The film is also noteworthy for its cheeky, obviously cut-rate production values, mid-'80s colorblind casting, sexual frankness, and near deliberately slack sitcom direction.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like, wasn't Dave said he was waiting for laugh tracks or some point?
It says that Rotten Tomatoes it's currently a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
It deserves every percent.
So anyways, one of the things that we were saying is interesting is the actors are on this. So the guy who played Killjoy is John Matuzak, and he was a football star. So he's went to the he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, but he died in 1989. But you might know him best by playing Sloth in the Goonies.
Was he?
He was Sloth in the Goonies.
Oh, that's cool.
He played in a couple movies, and a lot of they actually wanted him to be in this movie, like the producers. I really like this guy. I want to be in the movie. But he was found dead in 1989, and he had taken Darvocet and with traces of cocaine in his bloodstream. So might farting a little too hard. Mm. So he was also in a great movie, comedy movie called One Crazy Summer with Bobcat Goldthwait, which is a funny movie, but talk about that. What's I going to say? Robert Urich, he, like I said, big star, especially 70s, 80s. He was in a ton of TVs and movies. Spencer for Hire was his big TV thing. I grew up with him. He was like a cop's, or like a private detective, solving crimes kind of thing. He died in 2002, and he had a rare form of cancer that killed him. So anyways, yeah, but actually, I think most of the cast is actually dead now. I could be wrong about that. Ron Perlman's not
the only surviving member of the Ice Pirates cast.
Angelica Houston is still alive.
Yeah, she's still alive.
Wenton's still alive. The comedian, the guy, the one head guy. And like I said, the guy who played the bad guy Zeno, he's an enigma. I can't figure him. Jeremy West, I can't figure out anything about that guy. He's just the strangest actor I've ever seen. So, but yeah, I love this movie. It's fun. It's so great just to go back and watch it. I haven't watched it, and thanks Holly for picking this movie, because I probably wouldn't have watched it on my own.
Well, didn't I inadvertently pick the movie by saying space herpes last week? Because that's what brought it up.
Yeah, I think so. We made a joke, and you were like, "What the fuck is space herpes?" And we were like, "Oh, we have to talk about."
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. I think that's how it went, but I can't quite remember. But
we were drunk.
Yeah, we were drunk. Yeah,
I was sober, believe it or not.
Oh my god! That next morning, I can't even tell you how I felt.
Really? Aw.
Yeah, I was still a little zippy.
For the nights around table, we dance when we're able.
Never able.
I was waiting for this to happen in the movie.
A sing-along?
No, just the Monty Python bits, because that seemed more in place with the movie than anything else.
Yeah, it's definitely a farce of a film. Definitely.
Yeah, it is. It's just there's some aspects that are just slow budget, and and it's dated in a lot of ways, like the graphics, the robots, I can't get away from it. I'm just
still amazed they spent $9 million on this movie, especially in 80s money. That's got to be probably in the teens and 20s nowadays.
I wonder what happened to all of the sets. Like if they weren't a mishmash of sets and they really did build all this crap, like I wonder if they were ever utilized on other films. I mean, it's an MGM film, or production. So I mean, it's likely that it was reused, repurposed for other things from the 80s.
Yeah,
they had to have repurposed sets for this film. Like everything about it just seemed pieced together in the oddest way. Like if they really designed all those like costume, the things I'm pretty sure they designed for this movie were the twink outfits. And
why? It's a spandex with a
twink. Still sounds like an insult to a personal decision.
I mean, that's just the way it felt to me. Like whenever they're shaving them, making them look more effeminate. I don't know, but not trying to be offensive. Just the first thing that came to my mind when they were like making all the boys look like really pretty and taking away their masculinity. I don't know. Not trying to be insulting.
Well, they made girls look like boys too.
They did. They made the black guy. He looked like a woman laying in bed. So I mean,
no, I mean the actually the
frog lady.
No. In the lineup there were women in the lineup as well, and everybody looked the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the big robots, because they didn't remind me of anything else, so they probably spent money on those. But like all the cowboy stuff and all the other costumes, I feel like most of those probably had to have been just taken from somewhere else. If they actually made those specifically for this movie, I would be incredibly surprised.
If we didn't convince people last week to watch this movie, I really want to know if we've convinced them this week to watch the movie.
Now they'll be like, oh, maybe I should watch that movie.
I really want to know.
Either
Please
that or
email.
no one will listen to this episode, and we haven't convinced anybody.
Well,
although we get a pretty good number of listens on YouTube for this episode, higher than number for YouTube.
That's good.
Our previous episode?
Yeah, the menagerie. People seem to like the menagerie. Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Nice. Very cool.
Very cool.
Well, anything else we want to bring up about this?
Well, I just wanted to let everyone know I'll probably be MIA for the next 2 weeks. I'm on a weird training schedule with my new job, and it'll just be Aaron and Holly unless they bring in somebody else. They should probably bring in Guy Davis, possibly, because he knows Doctor Who, if they're going to talk Doctor Who.
Oh, that's right. We could do Doctor Who. Maybe, possibly.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
We could all pick an episode and talk about our favorite episode, but how do you choose one favorite episode from Doctor Who?
I don't know if I could.
You tie a blindfold around yourself and throw a dart.
Yeah, but then I'd have to compile a list, and that's even difficult. Doctor Who is so great.
Just get the Wikipedia page, just print it out, and throw the dart at the
No,
Wikipedia page.
you can't do that.
It's a long page.
I don't know. Think of something. I don't think I have anything left to say about the Ice Pirates.
No.
It's still fun. I would still watch it again.
Poor souls.
Hey, I like, I don't know if any of your listeners ever listened to the Nerdynomicon when I was on that, but it's one of the things that drove Palmer crazy was that I liked movies that were terrible.
Yeah.
And he's like, how do you like this movie? And I'm like, I
He
don't
likes
know.
movies that are terrible too.
Yeah.
Well-
like The Last Jedi.
He definitely has certain things that are like,
So don't let him rag on you for liking bad movies. He likes bad movies too.
Oh no, it's not just him. Like all my life, it's like, wow, Holly, you like this? The Ice Pirates is one of those movies.
it's still a good movie. I like it.
Ice Pirates is better than The Last Jedi, I'll give it that.
Wow. That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
It is. That's especially since they're like 30 years apart.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know.
But Ice Pirates didn't make me mad. Ice Pirates made me confused, which is a better emotional state than angry. Last Jedi made me frothingly angry. So
Yeah, but
so if Ice Pirates definitely has wins out over The Last Jedi by far.
I was thinking that maybe if you had been exposed to a broader array of films
So you're saying I was
growing up,
sheltered.
well, maybe you would
And I-
appreciate this film more if you could go, oh, that's very this, and oh, that's very that, instead of going
I
right
was
to
going,
that
oh,
doesn't
this
make
is very
sense.
that.
That
This-
doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Well, no, I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, I could identify because it was like picking up on Alien. It was picking up on Mad Max. It was picking up on lots of films. Like it was picking up on a lot of things. I got the references, but it just felt like a mishmash to me, and that's
You just
that's what
didn't
made
enjoy
it. Yeah, it was harder to appreciate because I didn't feel like there was a unified vision behind the movie.
Got you. I don't know. I still like it, and I think that, especially for the time, it was a great film. I mean, for putting out a comedy, like, I don't know. I think it's great.
It's fun. It's a fun
It's
movie.
fun. It is definitely fun.
It's definitely
And we're
dated.
I
It's
wish
definitely dated.
I
but-
wish they had Mel Brooks working on it because that way it would have been a lot more funny. Because I really appreciate Mel Brooks' humor.
I mean,
And I mean, and some of them were trying to be Mel Brooks-ish, I believe, but like Mel Brooks' like touch is just really nice.
But
Yeah,
this is before
he's the king.
Spaceballs, so
yeah.
yeah. But I mean, I like Mel Brooks' all of his stuff from like the 80s, pretty much. It was really good.
Right.
Blazing
Right.
Saddles, Rob in Tights. I guess that was really 90s, but still, like Mel Brooks is brilliant. He was like I think he was a producer on the old Get Smart show from like the 60s. I noticed he had like a producer credit or writer credit on that. Like that show was funny and smart and snappy
yeah.
with their humor. So I mean, Mel Brooks has been around for a long time. It would have been great if Mel Brooks had a little bit more involvement with this.
Yeah,
Could've made the movie even funnier.
But what if he was a part of this and then never did Spaceballs? Like that would be a travesty.
Oh, that's true because Spaceballs is a work of art.
Yeah, You better not be sarcastic over there.
No, I love Spaceballs. We talked about it on the show a long time ago.
Okay.
Years and years ago. We were still at the job I met Aaron at years ago when we talked about Spaceballs. And we did that one fun. We actually played clips of the movie and the show. So if you haven't listened to our Spaceballs episode, go look for it.
I don't even remember what episode that is.
Pre-100.
That's going. Yeah, it's pre-100.
It's going to be pre-100 because we were still at that place. So
that place that shall not be mentioned.
Yeah, no, because you guys had your 100th episode after you met me.
Yeah,
that's true.
So it was a pre-100 episode. So
yeah.
That's hilarious.
So, Aaron, any final thoughts on Ice Pirates?
You should watch it just for if you haven't seen it, just because it's one.
Giggles.
Yeah. It's something you should just have some good laughs at. Oh, it's episode 37. It's Spaceballs.
That's pre-100 for sure. That's pre-1 year.
That's a long time ago. 2015.
Cool. Well,
that's it. Just watch it. Okay.
Just watch. No, you should watch it if you like it. I mean, if you're gonna get into the wonkiness of,
just go in accepting everything. Just accept everything.
Yeah. If that's the case, then yeah, definitely. If you can't do that, then please don't.
Yeah, and then we also did Galaxy Quest, so we've done other sci-fi spoof movies which were fantastic. So if you're in the mood for not Star Trek, go look up some of those archived episodes that are we had a lot of fun with.
Sure, absolutely.
All right. Well, our music, our intros provided by Dave Wilkes. The rest of our music is provided by Warp 11. You can find them online at warp11.com or Warp11 on Twitter. The show you can find online at synthaholics.com. You can email us at synthaholics@yahoo.com. You can join our Facebook conversation at facebook.com/groups/synthaholics. You can tweet at us. I am at David_J_Duncan. Holly is at Blackbird. Aaron's at Blackbird 2004. Holly's at Lunar Thistle. And the show's a Synthaholic duo.
Very cool. And please go to Apple iTunes, rate and review us. Give us 5 stars and leave a little comment if you can. That helps people see the show more often. Also, if you can go to our Patreon.com/Synthaholics. That's a great way to support us. Throw a buck, if you can. Help us support the show and the content that we bring you. And, of course, we ask everyone if you could share the show, tell a friend, on social media, or just, at work, at home, at school, however you listen to this, let people know that Synthaholics is a fun show and it's worth listening to because you get to listen to 1984 swashbuckling Ice Pirates content.
Absolutely. Who else is giving you Ice Pirates? I mean, come on.
I don't think anybody.
No, definitely not. Who knows? Maybe it's a film you've never seen, never heard of, never had any interest in watching, and now...
I had never heard of it until you guys mentioned it last week. It was not even close to being on my radar.
On your radar.
Not even a mention of this movie can I recall.
That's hilarious.
I know Aaron and I have had
we've
before.
we've talked about this before, yeah, for sure.
On the show?
Yeah. On the show, or on mic, but not recording.
I must have just I didn't understand it, so I just okay,
blocked it out.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I thought it was some inside joke. I guess it is sort of. It was an inside joke until I've seen the movie. So yeah.
Aren't you so happy you're on the inside of that joke now?
Now you know. I make that joke all the time.
Face herpes.
Yes.
Oh,
and that thing.
Yes.
So, what do we want to talk about next week? Do we want to...
Udders.
Udders? Do we want to do something that's all, probably not another farce. Maybe something serious? Or something groundbreaking in sci-fi films?
I don't know.
Maybe we should discuss this off the air. Thank you all for listening. Live long and prosper, one and all!
Before the night's over, I'll puke in the sink and we'll cry till we laugh, and we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend I ever had.
Now we can talk about what we're doing next week.
Don't get space herpes, people.
Don't do it. It's not safe.
I don't know.
The space herpes burst out of the bird, the turkey that they were going to eat. Those poor, they couldn't have the turkey.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that was really funny. Ron Perlman as a cook was like, he's like, it's my dead grandmother's recipe, the stuffing, and just watch as I cut it, and the juices are just perfect. And he goes to cut it, and it's like, ah!
I know, it's great. And this thing popped out. Like,
what is that? Who knew about this a week ago? Just found out.
Yeah, we kind of knew it was floating around.
That's great. I love it.
But yeah, what do we want to do? Do we want to? Shall we be serious? We're not going to have as many dick and ball jokes with David gone.
I mean, come on. You got to get Guy Davis to come in and do them. Tell him he's got big shoes to fill.
Big shoes.
I think that'd be hilarious if you get him in, like, just have him play the part of David. And then
clown shoes. He would never do that.
You should make him. I would love to hear this and edit it.
I don't know if I can make him do it, but
get your whip out.
Get that dick jokes out.
Whip it out.
What about we could do, if you want to do like a big film, we could do something like
Citizen Kane.
No, that's Citizen Kane.
Have you guys done Avatar yet?
Nope.
Never done Avatar. We could do Avatar.
Avatar's good.
Especially with Avatar 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 coming out in the next 16 years.
Am I wrong thinking that there is a book that James Cameron wrote, or is it just film, like film inspired everything?
It's his own thing, and I think the movie is gonna flop because everyone saw Avatar, but no one remembers Avatar.
Oh, I fucking love Avatar.
Really?
On Michael's first deployment, I watched Avatar every fucking day. I just loved that movie.
You must be a big fan of Pocahontas and Fern Gully as well.
Yeah. What's wrong with Pocahontas or Fern Gully?
I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. My beef is
Krista's my girl.
My beef is more with Avatar being just a live action / CG version of both of those films.
Well, they don't have Tim Curry as slime and toxic sludge singing and crooning to them.
It's one thing it doesn't have, but
I'm just saying.
But I mean, like, they've got something close. It's called unobtainium.
Oh boy!
It's because they cannot obtain it.
They can. They're just going to have to commit semi-genocide to do it.
Yeah. Well, Krista's never going to let that happen.
What about The Matrix?
I do want to talk about The Matrix.
I want to talk about The Matrix.
Oh, all right.
You guys can do Avatar without me. That'd be fine.
He's like, yeah, leave me out of that. But
I mean, we could do Avatar. It's been a while since I've seen Avatar, so I could watch it again.
Yeah, you have access to it?
I'm sure I could get my hands on it one way or the other. Yeah.
I do love Avatar.
I might have it on Blu-ray somewhere. I don't know.
You sound tired.
I've had a cold this whole week, so my voice is a little raspy.
It's perfect for ice pirates.
Yeah, I guess.
If anything can be perfect for ice pirates.
I know, it's a weird movie.
That's why it's perfect, because nothing is perfect for ice pirates, because it's a hodgepodge movie.
It is a hodgepodge.
Be fun. There's a lot of funny parts to it.
I agree. I found myself smiling almost the whole time.
Yeah, just so many silly things about it. So,
Young Ron Perlman. That's what stuck out most to me.
That was your takeaway?
I was like, oh wow, young Ron Perlman. Huh.
Got his hand cut off.
He's the only person I recognize in the entire film.
What about Angelica? What's her name? It's Angelica, right?
Yeah, Angelica Houston.
Yeah.
Who is she?
Morticia Addams.
Addams from the Addams Family.
What's that?
The
Addams
female pirate. She's Morticia from the Addams Family.
What's the Addams Family?
Shut your face.
Come on.
I'm going to open my can of soda water.
And,
the show or the movie?
The movie.
The movie.
Never saw him.
What is wrong with you?
My parents are what's wrong with me. I wasn't allowed to watch it.
Yeah, but
And look
how
what
long?
they've done to you.
How long have you been out of your parents' house?
A long time, but I haven't had the impetus. I mean, I didn't have the same impetus to watch it now as when I was younger. Plus, I've been having to catch up on all the Fast and the Furious movies so we can watch the new spin-off this summer. Only halfway through. There's a bajillion Fast and the Furious movies.
No, tell me you're not watching those.
I am watching those. Kaylee loves them.
Why? She likes those?
Yeah.
They're Michael's favorite too.
She loves them. And Aaron, believe it or not, like they get better when Justin Lin's directing them. Like I think it was like the fourth one he directed. And I was like, wow, this one is substantially better than all the other ones. And then I didn't see the director because I don't think his name showed up to the very end of the movie. I'm like, Justin Lin directed. I'm like, oh. Because he did the best of the 3 Star Trek reboots, and it was measurably better. Usually sequels get worse.
Yeah. And
the first one's been my least favorite so far, actually. So.
Yeah. I saw the first one, and I think I might have seen part of the second or third one. I don't remember, but it was all pretty bad to me, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm watching here and why this is popular.
And why this is a phenomenon. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I didn't start liking it really till 4. I mean, they were okay, but like when Justin Lin was in the director's seat, it was definitely better. And he directed 5 too, which I've seen 5. I haven't seen 3 yet because 3 is chronologically like 6 or 7, so we're watching them in chronological order.
Oh, Tokyo Drift or whatever.
Yeah.
No.
Well, Robert Urich plays Jason, and he was a popular actor back in the day.
Was he?
In the 80s.
Doesn't look familiar to me at all. Like, no one looks familiar to me. Except for Ron Perlman.
Man.
It's because you weren't allowed to watch film.
Anything. The only thing that really like stuck out for me that I couldn't figure out was the guy who plays the bad guy Zorn. Mm-hmm. He's this character. The actor's named Jeremy West, and like he has like maybe 5 or 6 films credit to him, and they span from like the 70s into the 2000s. I'm like, what is that guy doing, and how is he in films? You know,
how has he only done 5, and he's been doing it for how long?
Yeah,
he's like,
what's crazy is that he's super familiar looking. He's
such an he's an ugly dude. So it's hard not to notice him. You know, so I don't know. It was weird. I was like, what? Who is this guy? You know. So, anyways,
who was he? What was his name?
Well, his name is Zorn in the movie. But Jeremy West is the actor's name.
I think the bad guy was vaguely familiar, but I couldn't put my finger on it, so I don't even like. That's why I wasn't really comfortable saying I knew him. But like Ron Perlman was like super obvious. Morticia Addams. I mean, maybe I don't know.
She's in other things.
She didn't. It didn't really ring a bell with me. I was like, oh.
Yeah, she's quite a bit younger.
I think the ripped girl, or the girl who was painted to look ripped, who's standing next to the guy with the glasses to his right. It was like, why is she painted to look more ripped than she is? This looked really weird.
There were other warriors that were similarly painted, just not as drastic.
Well, but like her face and her body were completely different color. Like they didn't match for their face at all. And the thing is, like they showed other scenes like where she.
Should we start talking? Should we start recording so that this is on?
Oh, we'll get back into it. Or we can stop and get back into it. I'm recording for outtakes and shit right now. So I think I've got the fuck you about the Addams family in here.
Oh, come on.
I didn't see it. And, like, when I wanted to see it, I couldn't see it. And then, like, after so long, it just never, ever came back up again. I mean...
Well, you should. You should see it. They're actually making a new animated one.
Really?
Yes. The trailer for it is quite cute.
Didn't know that.
Detective Pikachu is super cute. I don't know why this wouldn't be up your Holly. Why it's up your alley, Holly? Because you love kids movies, and it's totally a kids movie, and it was a real well done kids movie. It was fun.
I'll watch it. It's just I was never into Pokemon.
But the thing is, I was into Pokemon, and when I heard about it, this sounded like the dumbest thing to me ever. And then it actually ended up being, like, not bad. And usually video game movies are awful. So, I mean, you've got the fact that it's a cute kids movie going for it for you, and it's a video game movie that's not awful, which almost never happens. I mean, it's like a pretty play-by-the-numbers kids movie as far as, like, plot and shit goes, you know.
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Which means it's, like, not an awful movie necessarily. It's pretty decent. It was cute. You like cute things. I think you'd like it.
I do like cute things.
It was very cute. Very cute.
I also like really bad things, like Ice Pirates.
Well, the first time the female protagonist talks, it's awful, so you'll love it. It's so bad. It is so awful with the first things that come out of her mouth. I don't know if it's the lines or if it was the first delivery she did, and they just went with that take. I don't know what. Because she got better.
Pikachu, or you were talking about Ice Pirates?
No, Detective Pikachu. The woman who's the lead, the girl. I don't know how old she is. Like teeny. I don't know how old she is. Like she's a girl. And her first delivery is awful, and I don't know what they did, but she gets better as the movie goes on. But I was just like, oh my god, I'm going to hate her if she delivers all her lines this badly.
But it got better, I'm assuming.
Yes, it did. It did. I didn't hate her at the end of the film. I was super dubious about her the first time seeing her, and then it got better. Her Psyduck was the best character in the entire film. Psyduck was awesome.
Oh, Psyduck's hilarious.
Psyduck is hilarious.
He's the most useless Pokemon, period.
He does something. Oh. He does something useful in the movie, which is kind of great. So I mean, like if you're a fan of Psyduck, Aaron, you should definitely give this movie a watch. It was pretty good. I think we should talk about it on Setaholics eventually. It was fun. I mean, you've made Pokemon references with zero provocation, Aaron. So
I made Pokemon references before Pokemon came back into vogue.
Yeah, you did. Like 4 years ago, when it was just the hardcore people still playing the video game.
Yeah, I just the only reason because I don't know why, but at certain points in my life, I would come home and Pokemon would be on, and I would just watch it, and I just got to know it. I never played the card game. I didn't know anything else about it. I just watched the films with Ash and Pikachu. You know, it just was on, and I just would watch it, and I got to know it all. And then my kids got back into it, like later on.
Yeah.
So
I watched Pokemon. I watched the hell out of it when I was like 14. Like I was watching it as I was playing like Red and Blue back in the OG Pokemon.
So it's all gibberish to me. Except I know who Ash is.
You do know, yeah, good.
Just because of cosplayers.
Ash Ketchum. He's been 11 years old for 14 years. This is Michael Jackson's dream.
Ass Ketchum.
Michael Jordan. No, Michael Jackson. Love it, a perpetual 11-year-old.
Well, maybe Michael Jordan would too.
Is that a thing?
I don't know. No, I mean he's a competitor, so maybe Michael Jordan might get
he gets competitive with Michael Jackson, so you can get the youngest one. That'd be great.
I meant Ash was a competitor because he does all the tournaments.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, sorry. Did you see the Leaving Neverland thing?
I did not watch that documentary yet.
No, it seems a little disturbing. I don't know if I really need to see it.
Right.
Oh, it's messed up. It's super messed up.
I still like Thriller. I'm sorry, I'm never going to change. It's still a great song.
Well, I mean, you heard what the last podcast and Left Guy said about it. Like,
I know. You know what? Those rumors, I assumed they were always true.
You did, yeah.
I always assumed he was a freak. So I mean,
super freak. I mean, I love how his songs, like, you know, I kind of point to it, like Smooth Criminal, and beat it.
I don't know. Yeah. But, I mean, my thing is more of, you know, you think about it, it's like, here's a guy who his father made him become a star, and there's rumors that his father chemically castrated Michael Jackson. So there are certain chemicals you can give people that basically they're limp for the rest of their life.
Oh, wow.
And this is the way he did it also was so he would be able to sing in that high falsetto constantly. So I don't know if there's any reality to that, but
right.
Well, he could definitely get off, according to the documentary?
I really don't know. I couldn't tell. I don't know shit. So
Michael does not let Michael Jackson music intrude his ears.
With you.
But Scandroid, as I was saying earlier, Scandroid made a really, really good, like, ode to Thriller on his Monochrome album. It's pretty good.
Oh, nice.
Do you remember the Final Fantasy movie that came out in, like, the late 90s, early 2000s?
No.
I haven't seen any of them.
It was an all CG movie, like super. It was like it was one of the early attempts at hyper like realistic.
Oh, I didn't see it, but I remember when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, on the DVD they did. They animated Thriller with all the characters from the movie, them dancing the Thriller song.
Nice.
I remember that being a special feature on the thing. And the thing that kills me about that movie is like you could tell it took them like decades to make it because the details and the characters get better as the movie goes on. So it's like really weird.
Right.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not a good movie. Like as far as story and like plotting go, it's not good at all. But I mean, if you like technology and like computer animation, it's interesting to watch at least for that. Because it was one of the first attempts at like hyper realistic, photorealistic characters in a film that I'm aware of. Yeah, so it was well done in that respect. Story was fucking garbage though.
I believe it.
Cool. Oh, so we got the Patrick Stewart leaks or the Picard show.
Picard, yeah.
Is it actually called Picard, or are they just saying it's Picard?
No, it's called Picard.
Oh, I think they heard us about the Michael Burnham show, so they're just going to call it Picard.
Picard show.
Because maybe season 3 of Discovery will just be rebranded as the Michael Burnham show. That'd be great. Star Trek Burnham.
There's somebody leaked that little. Did you see that little clip they leaked about on the show?
No, I just saw a set photo.
I've only seen the stills.
So that still, if you see him like Patrick Stewart looking kind of like an old man, surprised or something like that,
or just annoyed.
Yeah, there's a guy. There's like a Starfleet officer, and he goes, "And sir, what's your name?" And he just kind of goes like, like you don't know my name, kind of thing. So
you don't know who I am. Who are these children? They should be beaten.
Yeah, that's the only thing that was released so far or leaked. So I don't know.
Cool. I mean, other than that, there's nothing too big in the news that I saw, anyway.
No.
I'll mention that I talked to Tony Todd, and we'll be doing The Visitor when I'm not working Sundays.
Oh, right.
Because you and Holly will be doing whatever the next couple weeks.
Is that next week?